also? You should be also. Are we gonna be on video or?
We are on OBS, we
Okay.
can't have video on Zoom.
Move it. Okay, I want to call to order the IDA meeting. Motion to approve the November 12th, 2025 minutes.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want to go on to the authorizing resolution?
Yep, first order of business is authorizing resolution for Slay New York Solar Farm LLC. This morning, we are joined by
Yes, Josh.
Josh Sabo, representing the project. Good morning, Josh, can you hear us okay? Hi, Josh, good morning.
And we also have Ryan Dowd as
Oh,
well.
Ryan, are you there?
Yes, hi. Nice to be with you today. Ryan Dowd representing the project company.
Hi, Ryan. Ryan, would you mind reviewing the scope of the project with our board, please?
Yes, sure. And apologies, I'm on a train right now, so there may be a little bit of background noise. But I think, Josh Sabo represented the project company last week up at in the town of Arcadia meeting. The project is full speed ahead. We are in the final stages of closing out our building permits with the town building department, and we'll be shortly moving into construction in 2026 with the intended goal of operationalizing the project by the end of 2026 and exporting renewable generation into the community. So very excited about the opportunity, and kind of closing out the pilot agreement is one of the final conditions to our special permit.
It's a 5 megawatt solar project. Are there any questions for Ryan? Scope, scale, particulars of the project?
This is their second one in Lincoln Slate, or is this?
Ryan, do you know, does your company have another project in the county?
This is the first. This is the in the county. I would have to look. We probably have a couple others in the county. This would be the first in the town of Arcadia. We are hoping to do an additional project directly adjacent to this project, but that is yet to go through local permitting.
This application was applied for in 2023 by a different owner. So this is a new application, but same area, a lot of the same things, but new owner and updated project.
I got a question, mostly, I think for you guys. I don't know if we're gonna meet after or.
Yes. Any questions, particular questions on the, go ahead.
No.
You're good.
So no questions for Ryan and Josh.
They're welcome to stick around. I'm just, you
Yeah,
don't have questions for them?
I don't
Move
have
on to
questions for them.
Questions for us.
I was just, my question is, of the residents that attended the meeting, the public meeting, did they have any comments or questions?
Yes, the comments are just the page before, and it's in italics.
Thank you.
Reading comments from Paul. I did have a discussion with Paul yesterday, sometime the last couple of days. Paul seemed generally familiar with pilots, has worked in different parts of New York. I would say I kind of walked through some of the nuances relative to how we've handled pilots in general, but in particular solar pilot projects in the county. Our process, and I would say generally we're on the same page. I think for the most part, he was there to be able to attempt to leave some details relative to some questions on their board. But as with
Their board meeting,
the school
the
board.
school board. Did he get his answers?
I believe he did, I can't speak for him. The floor was his, I gave him any and every opportunity, impressed on him that it is a significantly easier process if we work through the IDA as a representative of all the taxing jurisdictions. And that we bear the burden of procedural things, attorney engagement, et cetera. And I think he understood it. Like in general, most parties trying to understand how potential pilot revenue and what the dollar amounts might be and how it would impact their tax cap and their other school district financial planning and tax implications.
I apologize, I had to be at the finance committee for a few minutes.
And then so the other resident attendant did not have questions?
She was the clerk at the time.
Okay.
Not in the comments.
Are these agreements usually 20 years? Is this guy stating this correctly, a 20-year agreement?
No, it's not.
15.
So he called it a 20-year agreement, but it's a 15-year agreement.
Correct.
Because I'm looking in the text and body of the rest of the materials, trying to find the answer to that question. I can't find it.
It is not 20, it is 15, as is our, again, I'll say our effectively standard approach to solar pilot.
Right, that what you're proposing is what, the same as what we've done before.
Other than some also, per megawatt fees have changed.
So in 2023, we updated the UTAP to include that agriculture and preservation fund.
That's also,
So that is what's additional to that is new from other solar pilot projects.
And the decommissioning bond at the end, that's all the same as it always,
decommissioning bonds are the responsibility of the town.
okay. Do we know if that's in place? I just remember there was a lot, when we did these a few in a row, there was a lot of talk about that, so I'm just not
It's-
sure.
Ryan, are you still there?
It's in there.
Is it in there? So it is part of it.
Yeah, but again, it is the responsibility of the town where it's at right now. Right, like how.
Ryan, are you there?
Is Ryan with the town?
Yes, I'm here.
Ryan, do you have have you completed the process of establishing your decommissioning bond with?
The construction, we are bonding over any sort of construction related wear and tear on the roads in and out.
Thank you.
And those are not only applied for, but they're in place and approved.
Yes, it is part of the application.
Those are all approved, right, Ryan?
Yes, those are approved. The agreements have been executed with the town.
Okay, thank you.
And Brian, do we have, just to button up our process, do we have any required documentation from the town?
Secret documentation.
Okay.
They were the lead.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
No, that was a question for us, but thank you, Ryan.
Okay.
Brian over here, not Ryan.
That also includes.
Okay, understood.
Application.
Okay.
And I do have, instead of doing the whole seeker document,
You have
yeah, that's the link. And so if you just click on that, maybe Katie can do that. I don't know if you can click on it. It might be the easiest, but yep, there you go. That should go. That should go directly to the application. It has information on the decommissioning bond as well as the seeker document. But that's probably 2/3 the way down. Seeker document starts on. Part 2 starts in 66. Page 50.
Particular question on that. So seeker and site plan approval are both requirements for us from the town.
And so at the time of application, we know that, that's what you're saying.
At the time, when we bring it to you guys, we know it's done.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, and then the town of Arcadia resolution accepting the decommissioning the decommissioning value is on page 84 of the application.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, motion to approve the resolution?
I make a motion, we approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Just a process question. When we have, I know we're required to list the comments. I just missed it when I was reading it last night. We're not required to list what our comments are back to the individuals who are present
It's in the notes of the,
of the meeting itself.
yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Josh, you wanna come up here, buddy? You can sit right here.
It's a good point though, Pam, that you want that to be part of the file on this particular project, is.
Well, it's just if we didn't ask the question, we might not know what was said back to the.
Sure. That's good.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Josh Fahey from,
These folks go for it.
Yeah, Ryan and Josh, you guys were all set. If you guys wanna take off.
Great, thank you so much. Take care.
Josh Fahey from, Congresswoman Claudia Tenney's office. He's here to introduce himself and talk to us about different ideas.
Yes, good morning. My name is Josh. I'm Congresswoman Tenney's Finger Lakes Outreach Director. It's really a pleasure to be here this morning to join all of you. Congresswoman Tenney is a strong supporter of the business community, and I'm really excited to be here today to learn more about how the Congresswoman and our team can support economic growth and business development in Wayne County and throughout year 24. So I look forward to hearing more about your upcoming priorities and how we can be of assistance and serve as a resource at the federal level.
I think we all appreciate you being here. It's nice to meet you. And then Chance, how long have you been with the Congresswoman's office?
Officially about a year. That was one of her interns in college as well, so I really did learn from the best.
I appreciate you being here. Appreciate the opportunity to meet you. There's a lot of things going on. You probably end your year for several hours.
But we won't.
But we will get correct. We have
So I'm all ears.
Yeah.
Well, you'll probably glean some things from the discussions we're having today, but I don't think it's any secret. Housing and energy are two prevalent topics of conversation here. I'll say they're connected. We've been having those conversations the last several months as well about power, and power is incredibly constrained here.
Oh, absolutely.
I imagine other parts of the country, but it's really confining us on economic development, housing development too, lots of ongoing discussions about how we can address all those issues. Including, the next item, what's that, next on our agenda? Item number 6, which is a state level policy statement. But, I think you'll read some things out of the meeting. Happy to be discuss nuances and details, and Congresswoman has been supportive of our efforts. In particular, we have been successful and we'll be looking to continue our successes on our EPA brownfield program, which involves a revolving loan fund that is managed by the Wayne Economic Development pursuing additional funds to support the assessment work that the planning side of our office has been doing. And are planning on submitting an application to EPA short order here, and we'll be reaching out for support on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In our office, we're happy to assist with grant research as well as offering letters of support.
Lots of comments, questions?
Any questions for Josh? Yes.
Are you located, you said you're the Finger Lakes representative, do you also spend time in DC?
I have been to DC, but I'm based in the district office in Canandaigua.
Okay, and are you from this area originally?
Originally from the Binghamton area, and I relocated up here. I actually started with Assemblyman Gallahan's office when I first graduated from school.
Okay.
And then I started with the Congresswoman in January.
Okay.
Any questions for us?
Yeah, so what would you say are some of your biggest priorities going into 2026?
We just named a few.
The housing and, but infrastructure in general for our county is a constant conversation that we've had over the years.
Dave, I'm sure you can speak. Water infrastructure is always very difficult in rural counties, and finding a path to getting those projects put together is always a challenge.
Yeah, I had a long talk with Josh about a week ago, and went over how with rural development and getting the loans and the grants and all that stuff, and how expensive water and sewer projects have become, and just going through some concerns I had about that, and mentioned to him how when you do these projects, you get a loan and you get a grant, and you use up the loan first, and then you go into the grant, and if you don't use up all the grant, the town can't put it towards the cost, it goes back to rural development. In our last water project, we had about $350,000 left over, which didn't help us reduce the debt service, it just went back to rural development. It'd been nice to have been able to help the residents. But you heard all that before.
And I've had the opportunity to meet with many, town supervisors, mayors, local leaders, and certainly, water and sewer infrastructure, that's huge, energy and, how that can certainly be a bottleneck for development.
Energy, I'll say both sides of that coin, so not only generation and the capacity and availability of the megawatts and gigawatts that we need, but the delivery system as well as, particularly in New York, it was an older system built in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And in my opinion, federal support for investment in that infrastructure is going to be a key component of us modernizing our energy delivery infrastructure, finding a way for us to be able to accommodate attraction projects, which are demanding more power now than they ever have. Not to mention every single home, which is just individual residential development projects are demanding significantly more power.
Right.
So, appreciate it. Jim, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Another thing I mentioned to Josh about was, and I know it's a state issue, and he reminded me it was a state issue, was our problems we have with the floodplain and the wetlands laws and different things, and how hard it is, all the criteria, because half the town here on is wetlands, and it's hard to get things approved or get DEC to step up and do what you need them to do, but I know that's a state issue, but any federal support we can get along that line would be appreciated
We
too.
need technical support, that sort of thing, like delineating wetlands and things like that. I think is a property owner that would be very helpful.
Yeah, that's really good to know.
You have the benefit of not only meeting with the board members who are at-large members and involved in the private sector side of the county, but Dave, as you know, is a supervisor, Kim is also a supervisor and the chair of the county board of supervisors. Town president, Nash County. Kim, I don't know if you have any.
I've met with Josh a couple of times. I just wanted to say thank you for coming here, it's really important, and I apologize, did you guys get my email late last night?
Yes, we can
Okay.
talk about that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm happy to give anybody my card if anyone would like to connect about anything else that may come up, or if there's anything that comes up in the future that our office can be of assistance
Shows up
with.
too.
Yeah, I'll take a card.
Yeah, I will too.
Welcome to stay, thanks for being here.
I think it's so strong that you came, I was a big supporter of Louise Slaughter, because she was so approachable. So that's why I think it's so important that you come and you meet people
and you get in front of them, because, you know, Democrat, Republican, I don't care. It's that seat at the table, the outreach, meeting people, it's so important to facilitating progress, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll say that constituent services and community outreach are so important to the Congresswoman, and we have a great team here in the district to help folks who are having issues with federal agencies, who attend community events, and certainly myself and my other colleagues like attending municipal meetings and connecting with community leaders. So this has been great, and I look forward to staying for the rest of the meeting.
You mentioned Louise, I
Did you really?
she was really good friend.
Oh,
I did too.
just did a lot. And you could just, you know, I couldn't get 1099 forms. And she sent me an envelope like this. I think it cost, well, it didn't cost her anything, because they don't pay for postage, but I couldn't believe it when I got it, and then I'm like, oh, I got enough now.
Yep.
Okay, next we have the 2026 meeting schedule. If everyone got a chance to take a look at that, goes on basically without.
I have a couple of questions, and it's just because I had to go to finance and be there for the first 10 minutes there. November and December end up being scheduled on the same day and time as the finance committee for the county. And I'm not sure why, if it's because of the holidays or,
The holiday.
Yeah, we
okay,
move our meetings up in the month.
okay,
Typically, we meet towards the end of the month, but with the
Right.
holidays in November, December.
okay,
Yeah, and if we do it the week after, then it's Board of Supervisors.
okay,
Typically, we did do it the third, it was usually like the third Wednesday, but once we moved it to Tuesday, then it was up to
Okay.
the Board of Supervisors.
thanks.
Do you want the meeting moved?
No, they asked me to, and I just said, you know, sometimes I may end up having to stay over there, that's all. Cause I'm like, I don't usually have conflict, and then I looked at this just now, and I was like, oh. I figured it's always.
We don't need to approve it.
No, we'll approve it in January, this is just to make sure that you guys are good with still the Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Everyone okay with that? Okay. Next we move on to resolution urging the New York State Governor and Legislature to take action on the CLCPA.
How much discussion you guys would like to have around this, but I think it's pretty straightforward. Lots of discussions, this is the energy discussion, this is all sorts of other things. But we put together this resolution, effectively urge the legislature to take action on the timeline associated with the CLCPA. Happy to talk about the nuances relative to what's going on about all of this, but in a moment here. There are questions on the particular resolution itself, thoughts or comments, additions?
One thing that Brian had mentioned to me was how much the IDA, should get involved in statements political in nature. And I agree with doing this one. I think, it needs to be addressed because it really affects a lot of our projects going forward and a lot of things in the county. So I wouldn't want to see us get involved in every political issue that's out there, but I think this is one that we should make a statement on.
Agreed.
And Brian, you network with other IDAs at some of these conferences that the county sends you to. Are they also doing stuff like this?
As far as resolutions go,
Well, like you just said, political involvement of the agency, let's just put it there.
I mean,
Never,
50 somewhere, 50 plus counties in New York. I would say some of them are a little more oriented towards policy than others. It's a balancing act, frankly, but certain things I think rise above general politics like this, which is the timeline and the things around the CLCPA are directly affecting our ability to do the core mission of what we're here to do, which is business expansion, attraction. And in this instance, I think it rises above general politics, and it's like we need this to be addressed, and the only thing that will, in the long term, address this is action from the legislature. Senator Helming was at our real estate breakfast and said as much. And I'll say, you know, we had our IDA director, IDA board member, get together over there at Rainwood, and this was a topic of discussion there too. We could talk about that a little later as far as coming out of it, but this was certainly a topic there. So I think it's important that we continue to have those types of conversations. Find the sweet spot between playing politics but advocating for appropriate policy to help us advance our mission.
I don't look at this as playing politics. This is, I mean, the economy is a nonpartisan issue. It's akin to what the president did with the auto industry standards for fuel efficiency. I mean, there's not a whole lot of debate as to whether or not if we kept going forward with the standards that were just more or less overturned, that it was going to adversely impact the auto industry, which would disrupt the whole economy. So this is an economic issue when you talk about energy costs, availability, and it should really be looked at as nonpartisan. And so I think some of these things that are economic based, that's really the route you need to cut to. And I think if anybody looks at it differently than that, maybe they're making it a political issue.
And in that thing you were talking about, the Ravenwood thing, wasn't there something in that about more community plans, more community energy like Fairport Electric? Cause, you know, I just wonder if communities even know where to start to do something like that. Cause Soda's had one, but sold it to RG&E, right?
I mean, nuances, there wasn't, to my recollection, I don't think there was any particular discussion about municipally owned distribution systems.
Oh, maybe,
But there were-
it was something else you sent then, maybe your notes from your meeting with Mark on power. There was something that was addressing community.
I think that was the Geneva meeting you're at with Mark.
But I'm just wondering if there's a role to play to help the communities in Wayne County, as far as like a roadmap, you know, maybe a consolidation of effort between towns to have a community program, to have an option not to go with RG&E.
Oh, well,
Or not.
okay, well, community choice aggregation is a different conversation. I don't know if you guys, community choice aggregation, basically. So everyone familiar with ESCOs,
Yeah.
energy service companies, right? So you can buy your supply of power from somebody else, not say RG&E or your utility company. I'll say, so the city of Rochester offered that to residents of the city. You can opt out, say, I don't wanna be part of your bulk purchasing program, I just wanna go with whoever I have, or I'm comfortable with going through the utility. The idea is that is given your choice, an ESCO can offer a better rate than what the utilities offer. I'll say the city of Rochester has decided to not renew their contract with the ESCO that's been provided their community choice aggregation supply, because they're not seeing a benefit, financial benefit to the rate that they're offering.
I was thinking of something more like Fairport Electric, where they actually service, they have service
I mean,
trucks.
they own
They own
delivery infrastructure.
Yeah, that kind
There's
of
been
thing.
discussions on that too, particularly in the city of Rochester. I don't,
It's problematic.
it would be billions, if not trillions of dollars for anybody to consider acquiring all the delivery infrastructure owned by utility companies. We are, delivery and generation are already demonopolized, if you want to phrase it that company, but NYSEG, RG&E, Con Ed, National Grid are not by law in New York allowed to own generation sources. That was a part of the thing that was brought up back in the 80s. I'm not sure, I mean, whether or not there's a discussion to be had around municipally owned or acquired delivery infrastructure, not generally part of the conversation we've been having. It's more about what is the cost of everybody's energy bill? The CLCPA has been affected and is, I think by estimations I've seen roughly anywhere between 10 and 20% of your utility bill is charges associated with the utilities need to address electric infrastructure relative to the rules and regulations under the WCIDA. So, I mean, the cost of that policy is directly implementing customers. Not to mention, we have an old delivery system. We are really constrained by that capacity of delivery, not just generation, but delivery as well, in particular in rural communities. So how are we addressing that? I would say, not to get on a soapbox, but I've been saying this in conversations, I think the best we can do locally is plan for our future. There's areas where towns, it's a home rule state. This has been part of the conversation too about siting of new generation. Lots of communities, lots of counties are interested. I heard at the conference we were at Hobart William Smith, the Cayuga County is interested in potentially siting, let's just say, a new nuclear facility, or generation facility. So very likely nuclear. By the way, Wayne County's been very vocal about their interest in supporting that. But if we, as towns, or as the county, can help the towns aggregate a plan for the county on, this is where the new residential stuff is gonna go over the next 10 or 15 years or 20 years. Here's where the new industrial sites are. We share that information with the utility. They can create a long-term plan to make sure they can deliver power to the areas where we're interested in seeing growth. Or not, and that's really, I think, the balancing act. A lot of times since the 80s, there's kind of been an assumption like, hey, there's a vacant field, the utility will find a way to get the power there and get them service, and there have not been those questions, but they are now. We don't speculatively invest in generation or infrastructure expansion, so it's a chicken and egg. And I think the best we can do is help with local plans. Here's our industrial sites, here's where the new residential stuff is gonna go, here's commercial development, so that the utility can make longer term plans about their plan to invest in the distribution system. Generation is a bigger question, and there's lots of generation, we're all at this double the amount that we're using today by 2040. That's back in the envelope, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. That means a lot more new generation is needed. We're talking about recommissioning mothballed plants to just meet peak load demand. Peak load has shifted. It used to be, our peak load was in the summer when everyone's flipping on their air conditioning, but it's actually shifted to the winters. It's dynamic use of power more now than ever. One of the big advocacy points to try to bring this back to what I was trying to say. Support for local planning is, I think, a huge missing piece of the pie. Ask the small towns, you know, hey, update your comp plan every 3 or 5 years, and they're like, I don't have, it's not in my budget. And we can't afford to do that, 50, 60, 80 grand a pop. It's just not really in the cards for, in particular, the small municipalities to be doing it. That's what we need.
We need to help them.
And I think state and federal support, by the way, would be great with local planning efforts because New York's home rule, and we need to help the local municipalities plan for their future. So we can bring that all together and say, hey, this is what we want Wayne County to be in 10 years. It's up to every municipality to decide their own fate. That's the balancing act we play, frankly, on the planning side of the office, which is we want to be as useful as we can to help inform those local decision makers and help aggregate county stuff to make an impact and help advance the mission the IDA is trying to do, what everybody else is trying to do.
And I also think we need to remind Albany about the home rule and how important that is to us.
I'll tell you, I mean, there was somebody who suggested that maybe, 95C, state has the authority to supersede local stuff when it comes to large scale solar, right? We've heard about this, right? They can sort of permit their own projects. This is above the 5 megawatt stuff. There's a suggestion that the state should consider doing that for all generation and not just renewables. That would be detrimental to the home rule. It would circumvent effectively the way we've been managing New York State forever. But real conversation, or at least some suggestions around all I don't see it happening. Home was a key part of how the state's been operating since it was established. Conversations around that too, so conversations are incredibly dynamic around this, all this space, but I would say, I'll stop talking after this. I think as a region, we're very coalesced, and we're all really saying the same thing. It was evident in the breakfast we had over there at Ravenwood. We're all seeing and feeling the same things, are on the same page as far as what we think are the best steps for the state.
It was a really good meeting too, see what it was there.
Okay, no other discussion, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Move on to the next resolution, to enter into a contract with the Wayne County Water and Wastewater Asset Inventory and Capacity Study.
Fast New York grant, excuse me. Awarded to the IDA early this year. Solicited proposals, 3 responses, you can see them there, Wendell, MRB, and Clark Patterson. Reviewed, vetted them between myself, Katie, and one of our planners. Interviewed the consultants, revisited some of our scoring, and MRB came out on top. So our recommendation to the board is that you approve us entering into a contract for completion of this study with MRB.
I just had a question on, there's a pretty big difference in price. Can you highlight for us, why them?
MRB is a consultant for the Wayne County Water and Sewer Authority and quite a few of our municipalities. So they are intimately aware of capacities, issues in treatment facilities, location of existing infrastructure. Key components, frankly, to getting us to where we're hoping to go with this. I'll say all 3 firms are well qualified, but based on our scoring, and we did use a weighted system, have to look at it for the guys if you're interested. Our perspective was in aggregate that MRB would hit the ground running, with the easier path to getting initial data together, and the real rubber really hits the road here on what improvements are necessary to meet potential future demand. Frankly, it gets back to the discussion I was having on local planning stuff, but between this is really a Fast New York is about shovel-ready site development. So this is, at the end of the day, a broader look at our delivery infrastructure for water and sewer, treatment plant facility capacity, but with a strong eye on our business partners and our ability to deliver what is likely demand for those sites. Also gets into planning. MRB came out on top as far as the scoring was in aggregate. We looked at the responsiveness to the scope of work, general capacity, and a couple other scoring.
It's interesting, cause hearing you describe the why, it almost would make me want, if they're already involved,
That's what I was
they
thinking.
already know, they already
Should be
have
cheaper.
insight.
Should be cheaper.
Well, it should be cheaper, but they already are aware, and I don't know what, you know. This is a study, not for action, so would there be value in having somebody else who isn't aware, having eyes on it? To give a different
I mean, it was
initial
part
perspective.
it was part of the discussion we had, for sure. And I'll say again, all 3 firms are well qualified, and then, you know, I think a balancing act between the time it would take to get familiar with the infrastructure stuff itself.
Mhm.
But again, I mean, there's nuances relative to the management of these facilities, and given that they are intimately engaged with a lot of our local municipalities, discussions I've already had with other folks. At the end of the day, MRBs came out on top as far as scoring goes.
So again, it is to beat your point, but so I mean, if this is an RFP, which is based on tangible requirements, it shouldn't make any difference. I mean, everybody should have the same deliverables, and so the fact that we're going for, or the county's going for somebody that's, get a higher price tag, it doesn't,
We're not buying pencils though, like this is a, you know, it's not just a cost of
Understood.
something, there's nuance associated with it, and I can't believe 3 of us score things independent of each other, so in aggregate, everything on top of it is, every consultant would be required to, I mean, part of this is also the effort is not just, I would like a map of all, a lot of questions come up when we're looking at attraction projects on where are the pipes, what is the size of the pipe, what's the capacity of that pipe to deliver whatever this project would demand. We have not had the ability, frankly, to answer that question without picking up the phone, calling the plant, they say, hey, you're gonna have to talk to the water authority, or, oh, you gotta talk to whoever's managing the day-to-day operations of whatever facility. So step one is, I wanna know where all the infrastructure is, capacities, locations, GIS map, at least generally speaking, where this infrastructure is. Then it's a matter of evaluating that system on pinch points, capacity on pump stations, treatment facilities, and continuing through that process is, all right, so now what are the priority sites for industrial development? What do we need to do to get them shovel ready and be able to deliver capacity? That's the general scope of the project. A consultant's ability to get us to the end game starts at the beginning, in my opinion. So it's
So it's more some of the contacts that they've already made, is that what you're?
well, contacts, their familiarity with the counties, and it is a, it's a fragmented system. I mean, there are a lot of locally managed systems, water authority and some in aggregate. Scored independently of each other, walking through a process and an interview with all 3 of them.
How come the one bidder is the only one to have the grant?
I was wondering that, is there a way to apply that grant to the other ones?
It was Wendell's idea, because they were more knowledgeable, right, to mention the grant.
Yeah, they're also an approved consultant for that type of grant. I don't know if MRV is, we did not ask her.
I have 2 points. Last meeting, Mark mentioned, maybe it wasn't that loud, that he has concerns about MRV and some of the things they've done for the county. He did say that in the last meeting. And I have a pending meeting with the supervisor of Ontario about the invoice I got from the town of Ontario with MRV's legal, not legal fees, but professional fees. You know, the idea that they charge twice what my engineer charged to draw the plans and fill out the applications and, you know, make my application for the special use permit. So I'm a little concerned about them as a firm. They've always been, you know, long time Rochester, you know, very competent group, but I think money-wise, they've gotten a lot of control, for sure. So that's just my thought about them, because I've personally experienced it. And some of the other developers that were in the room, when I was in the room, we were all looking at our bills together and seeing that they filled us all at the same time, you know? So, I don't know, we're on it, you know, as a business owners in Ontario, trying to develop something and trying to do something with our businesses, and then, you know, we get whacked, we don't like it. Self-appointed
We have
spokesperson.
the same issue at my town board all the time. We deal with MRB a lot, and we've gotten the feeling that they're very good but very expensive. And we've gone with them, but there's been a lot of talk about looking into other alternatives, because it just seems like it's difficult to afford. They'll do a good job. The question, do we wanna pay that much for it?
Well, is it you get what you pay for? And that's what I'm
necessarily-
hearing you say.
Well, maybe for this, yeah, for my situation, it was a real simple thing.
Yeah.
And to get a $4,600 bill for just altering a existing special use permit. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, that's just the town's engineer. That's not what I paid my own engineer, you know? It feels punitive.
Can we ask more about that grant? See if it might be something that's they're eligible to do too?
I don't know, I don't know much.
All three?
No, I know if we could ask MRB, yeah, ask them all, I mean, it just seems like if it's a certain grant, I don't know anything
I'll be
about
honest,
it, but.
I know something about this, not sure it's applicable here. Flex Tech program is there for industrial companies to be able to do on-site studies about the efficiency of their facility. Generally, never heard of it being used for infrastructure. I think it was a bit of a stretch, frankly, as a suggestion as a grant that would be applicable here. That's my perspective on it.
It may also be assuming an award too that may not happen.
Correct.
I know it's just our responsibility always, you know, it's even with a grant, one way or another, it's always taxpayer dollars. So if you were doing this project yourself, nothing to do with the county, would you select MRB? Well, I don't know, maybe it's inappropriate for me to
I
ask
don't know
you.
if it's,
Is CPL Clark Patterson? I think it's important,
Yes.
that question.
Yeah.
I think,
Good firm.
okay, sure. Yes, the answer is yes. I think, from my review of the consultants, again, all three well-qualified firms, reviewed and read each proposal, scored them myself, as did Katie and Eli. And then we did our interviews, and my perspective is that I think this consultant will provide. I think they would all provide a good product, a good report, or a good study. I think MRB is in the best position to provide us with the best result because they have the most familiarity with the many different systems operating in town, among other things. I think in aggregate, I think they would provide the best project. It's not to say the others wouldn't, by the way.
Well, that's where it gets challenging
Yeah.
for us.
I mean, challenging for me too, I mean, again, it's not, they would all provide a good study, but for my evaluation, and then two other staff evaluations and the aggregate of those scores, Marby's
Yeah.
scored the highest.
I think when I originally asked the question, I was hoping to give us a nugget, like, here's, it's familiar, they're familiar with the county, is what you're saying is what makes them rise to the top.
I'm not saying it's the only thing, but it is one of the things.
Or why you wouldn't have chosen CPL even though, because they're a lot lower.
I'm not choosing them specifically, we went through a process, and the process was review and score them independent of generally a conversation about the nuances between myself and Katie Yep. And then we interviewed all three of them, and coming out of that is, want to revisit any scores or tweak things based on their responses to questions and their presentation of their approach to the project. And then aggregating those scores again, and then the aggregation of the scores put MRB at the top. So that process facilitated us bringing this proposal to you guys.
Yeah, obviously, cost is one of the criteria, but not the only criteria. And I think what I'm hearing, we either can decide to accept the recommendation of the three people that went and did all the, or we decide not to, and we look, as a group, we look into each of them and how they were scored a little bit more in depth. That's up to everyone here.
Was there a particular question that MRB scored higher on to make them? I mean, we were talking 32 grand, consider
Yeah, I guess what I'm hearing, it'd been nice to have seen, you're scoring.
Yeah.
Okay,
with the
this is what we scored
questions.
this one, this is what the total, this is how we scored this one, this is how we scored that one. This is why we ended up choosing MRB. I'm not saying that MRB is not the right choice.
Correct.
We have all that, I did not bring, it's not part of the package, I did not bring it to the table. But we can take, if you'd like, we can table this and then we can address it in January.
I'd like to see it.
I think it's a good idea, otherwise it's kind of fuzzy, you know, like it's
Well, I'd say otherwise you're trusting staff to do the job, to evaluate proposals and bring a recommendation to the board.
I would feel more comfortable seeing it for one reason, and that's because the county and other individual towns and villages all use MRB, so it seems like they're always the chosen one, and I don't disrespect, I love MRB, we use them for particular things only, but again, they are expensive, they're very good at what they do, and this is just the responses to the RFQ, it's not like we're
Well,
doing.
like I thought you might
RFP.
say something like,
RFP.
because they do business with us already, the amount of time your team is going to need to be involved will be less. Because they'll know certain things, then
That's kinda
there's
what I
then there's a tangible money difference
Right.
to me. But you didn't say that,
Right.
so I don't wanna make up, it's
That's why I
in
asked
my
if
own
there's a
mind,
question that I was
that's
thinking
made them
that,
come
right,
to the top.
I was actually thinking because they're the most familiar with the whole area.
Well, and also again, with RFPs, typically you're looking at deliverables. And the deliverables should be the same for all, and if the CPL can't deliver everything because of their lack of experience, then that should be a point.
The reason why not.
Right, but I mean, if all of them are qualified to do the same job, then this should largely be about bottom line. And if it costs CPL more money to do it because they don't have the experience, then they're probably trying to earn business. But I mean, yeah, I think it'd just be helpful to have more information, it just, it would be educational for us.
I'd like to entertain a motion to table this for now and look at it again in January.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
I
And I think, it's not that we don't trust the group that's scored it or anything, it's just we'd like a little bit
That's
more
right, yeah.
explanation as to.
We're happy to walk through the nuances with you guys in January. Take a deeper dive.
Okay, we're on 8, a resolution to approve the IDA operating budget for 2026.
Finance committee met this morning and recommending the board to approve.
The only comment I have is at the bottom, it references the EDC
Oh, and the resolution.
in the resolution.
Okay. Other question?
Any questions on that?
No.
With this, I'm willing to go with the committee recommendation
Make
to
a,
approve the budget.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
This one's a little funky, so you guys were expecting maybe today, that the Fed might adjust interest rates. I'm pretty sure they're going to, but, if you have a CD maturing in, that's December 31st, there's a bit of a grace period, if you will, 10 days, so we don't move it literally on the first day of a little time, but I spoke to Savannah, they're offering, their 3-month CDs, not even worth mentioning, frankly, the interest rate is below 1%. But 6 months at 3.75 as of our conversation on last week, and then 2.25 at 9 months. Bit of a moving target here again, given interest rates are changing. But looking for potentially approval to maintain a CD at Savannah for a period of 6 months at the rate offered at that time.
And you shopped other institutions,
Not.
and it doesn't mature until December 27th.
31st, there's
It's the
27.
Thank you.
So are they agreeing to the 375 for 6 months today? Like they're saying they'll honor that as of this date? Or we're gonna revisit it at that date?
That I think that if rates go down, they might not.
That might not be the case, so I'm just worried, it's kind of hard to,
I would just go with the highest rate from
at the time,
Yeah, can we open this up to
We could do, yep.
give discretion to whoever the institution is paying the highest rate at the renewal?
6 months.
Yeah, the term,
Yeah, it's just an unfortunate time, I mean, you know, considering that the Fed meeting is today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, hindsight, we would not have it end at the end of December because of our
Right.
meeting schedule, but now we will take that into consideration moving forward. So that's why we're sort of stuck, even if we contacted the other banks, they would say the same thing, that, you know, they don't hear anything.
the rate will be what it is
Right.
on
Right.
12
I mean,
months.
so there's the one hand, you know, we could continue on the 3 months, which again is
No.
less than 1%, which is not
wanna
really
go as
good.
long
Yes. But then it gives us the opportunity in March to not only address this one, but then also another one that is expiring
It's
in
gonna be
March
coming
too. So we could be a little bit more comprehensive, although it's gonna be a very busy meeting because that's audit season. So that's one way you could look at it, or you could look at it this way, that the 6 month has a little bit more of an interest rate, although it is probably approximate at this time considering the state that we're in, we're right in the middle of the meeting right now. And they won't announce it until tomorrow, right, too.
can't we just give you guys the authority to
Yeah,
use your judgment at the time and give us the best,
Yes.
the best
Yeah.
rate?
At Savannah?
Or anywhere.
I would,
Yes.
I would check at least 3 institutions and,
You know, if you can get a 6 or a 9 at a
or even,
higher rate,
you know, is there a reason we wouldn't wanna go longer?
You know, based on interest rates was the reason why we looked at 3 and 6 months was just timing purposes.
my opinion, if you get the
longer
longer the
you
rate with the higher, if you come across a longer rate with a higher percentage,
Get it.
take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be,
Because they're going down.
they're going down.
I mean,
So
when
if
we
somebody
went with,
has a mismatch for some reason, take it. If there's a longer one for a higher, I would say,
agreed,
commit to it.
and then just report back to us in January what you did.
That works.
So we're sort of redoing the resolution to allow, would it be Brian? Okay, who does that? Me. You're allowing Brian to evaluate the rates at the time of the CD and find the best rate at the best facility, bank.
With a minimum of 3,
I would say minimum of 3.
For either 6 or 9 or longer, depending on the best rate.
And that's money you won't need before if we go
No,
longer, okay.
Get a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
I,
You got all that?
This will be a recording.
Just make it look close.
Next one is relative to establishing a bank account. Sorry. Given the approval of the solar project presented this morning, this is the first project we'll be charging fees associated with the use of solar groups 1 through 4. And this is authorization to establish a bank account to post funds with a long-term plan to invest those on the preservation of our lake.
All in favor?
I,
Someone can do the motion in a second.
so
Second,
Okay, fiscal officer report. Update.
So, the fiscal officer report, we have provided you the bank balances as of November 11th. The main change you will see is in the main checking, and that's because of the pilot payments, so most of them have been paid for since it has closed, we're just waiting for one check to be cleared. Our money market is still doing really well, although, like you mentioned, the interest rates are decreasing. And then with our budget versus actuals, again, the only major change we have here is that the pilot payments went out late October. So we'll see that in December.
Any questions on that? You know if they found that one check?
I've not heard, yeah, that's, Town of Lions is not yet cashed our pilot. If not, we'll avoid the check and cut it.
Project updates.
Should we get into EDC and then we can work through this stuff in our next meeting? Why don't we do that?
That's fine.
Let's get
It
to it.
wouldn't fine. So, no other business, I think we'll, next meeting of the Audit and Finance Committee is on January 27th, 2026 at 8 AM. And the Board of Directors meeting will be after that, January 27th, 2026 at 9:10. I think a motion to adjourn. Favor? I'd like to call to order the Marine Economic Development Corporation meeting. I'd like to make a motion to approve the November 12th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Second.
Favor? We've already talked about the meeting schedule. The resolution to approve the EDC operating budget for 2026. That was also approved at the committee. I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Fiscal officer updates?
So with WEDC, with bank balances, they pretty much every day is pretty consistent. Same with our budget versus actuals. And then for our loan aging report, we do have that new spreadsheet that we provided you. I guess the one update we can say is that the Wayne County Regional Land Bank, those two loans were closed in middle of November. So those are the Brownfield Revolving Loan Fund, which is through EPA financing. This one is where they don't start paying until the remediation is complete, so it's deferred until that point in time. But they're making a lot of great progress over on at the next.
They sure are.
You wanna go into executive session? Yeah, I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session for person of finance reasons for,
Motion? Second?
all in favor?
thank you for the contact.
Ours been out a little bit. We are continuing to move forward with our ACT Work Ready Community stuff, lots of great conversations. It looks like, you know, we're kind of, the 9 county region is looking to do this in aggregate, but it's kind of broken down into BOCES. So our BOCES, Wayne, Seneca, Yates, Ontario, aggregating our 4 counties. We've had several meetings. We're looking at submitting a joint application in the next several weeks. Not a whole lot to the application, but it kind of gets the ball rolling, and then early next year, there'll be sort of a kickoff summit, we'll invite business owners and community representatives, and we'll all kind of get together and powwow a little bit about the path forward and how we continue to get engaged, and then, you know, it's our responsibility in the whole team effort is really engaging with businesses and sharing information and details, and there is a lot of effort to work to attract funding to help subsidize the cost of actually taking the test. That does stick to Oregon and Mental could find a path of taking the test at low to no cost. Mentioned our IDA board and staff meeting. So you guys were there. I thought it was great. I'll say Mark, my counterpart in Genesee County, said, well, if anything, now my board members heard that I'm not just a crazy person walking into the room saying all these things are issues that, you know, you can hear it among the other counties. We had, I'll say 6 of the 9, maybe 7.
It was really nice.
Pretty good turnout. There was a discussion about trying to make this a little more regular, maybe twice a year. But I thought Rainbow was a pretty good central location, very accessible for the throughway if people want to travel a little bit. GRE did it, was very helpful in helping herd the cats, getting the location, picked up the tab on breakfast that morning. I thought it was a great event. Not sure what else there is. Lots of, I mean, again, you guys saw the executive director report. I mean, energy. It's literally a discussion at a meeting every week, everywhere. There was Mike Mazzolio organized a meeting over at Hobart Road Smith last week. It was about economic development, energy. Several reps, including Senator Humming was there for most of the day, which I appreciated. She was very engaged in this space, very involved in hearing feedback and conversations. It's the same thing I was at a meeting with, so it's the Greater Rochester Association of Realtors, Mortgage Brokers Association, the Builders Association are kind of aggregating and also exploring and advocating and facilitating discussions around all this. It's a lot of the same stuff. It's CLCPA, its impact on the future, lack of generation and delivery capacity, and you know, it's interesting, the conversations at the same time is that the utility has a rate case for the Public Service Commission. And they're saying, prove our rate case so we can afford to do the things that'll help with our infrastructure system. So that rate case and that proposal to the PSC is always negotiated down quite a bit from what the utility proposes. So there's a balancing act that goes on at the state level. I think at the end of the day, it's going to require some shifting of some priorities at the state level, and I certainly think that given the costs associated with this federal support, it's going to be vital. I don't see how it gets done between ratepayers and the utility. It's just, we're talking just the billions of dollars it would take. I think there are very good discussions going on the generation side of things. The counties people about their interest in hosting additional generation, Oswego as well. I think we're in a good position given that we have a very robust emergency management system, comfortability with hosting those generation resources. The folks who are involved at the state level, whether it's NYSERDA or Power Authority, say, I think it's wishful thinking, but they say 6 to 7 years potential timeline for once approved, the development and siting of a new generation source. I'm guessing it's probably closer to 8 to 10. So there's that dynamic of the long-term scenario and what we're predicting as far as demand in the next 10 years. We're realizing issues right now. And come January first, we're starting everything to be all electric. Certainly doesn't help the situation, hence the resolution that you guys supported this morning. I'll stop there, lots of other things going on. I could probably talk for another hour.
What's the date of the pitch competition?
The date of the final pitch competition, it is April 21st, and it's at the North Rose School District.
One other exciting thing is that the Western Maine Chamber of Commerce and Williamson Chamber have combined. And I know there's been a lot of discussion over the years about the varied, different chambers that we had in the county and whether or not that's effective. And so it was, I think it's an exciting move. I've talked to some of the leadership with the chamber about that.
Not exactly what's going on, I'll say I spoke to Diana, business council, Western Wayne Chamber, press release that they were there.
Wait, the business council or Williamson?
No, Wayne, that's not Winston's Wayne. Wayne Business Council.
Wayne,
Right.
the business council, which is
Wayne County
countywide,
Business Council.
and then the Western Wayne Chamber, which is Western Wayne County.
Yeah.
The news was that they were merging. Not exactly what's going on, it's more of a, hey,
Competition.
nobody's, the board members are resigning from the Western Wayne Chamber.
Lack of response.
Okay, but you said Williamson.
It's okay,
I guess I was a little confused.
no worries, but I'll say, I mean, business council is also losing leadership. And,
So there's
not
a
sure
meeting-
what the solution is, I mean, the aggregation of private sector businesses is a helpful thing for us to have.
I think
As a
that,
partner.
I think you're hosting a meeting Wednesday for Western Maine, right?
Got an email from the business council, the Wayne Business Council, and it was to elect the small business of the year for Wayne County. And it promoted, nominate yourself. Just hand it back to us within like a couple of days. And I was just like, what is this? This is so goofy. But,
Well, yeah, I'll
we
give
have
credit,
to
but
need some leadership there.
Diana's been basically driving that train for the last, let's say, 5 years. I mean, she's 80 years old.
God bless her.
She's
God
looking
bless her.
for a path to, step aside and has been interested in trying to find people to step in behind her and take the reins. Go ahead, Dave.
No, okay, I'll
Okay.
say. It's been interesting.
It's part of the public record, I mean, the council's asked for some funding and support from the county. But the response has been, I need a more detailed plan on what their path to sustainability is, rather than coming to the county or asking for funds. Just operations.
Historically, it's been a great organization.
I agree, I mean, the legislative practice has been historically very well attended, the last several years, I think it's gone down quite a bit, but.
I think as of late anyways, I think they struggle sometimes getting the information out to people. Because
don't
even
see
the amount
anything
you're,
from them.
I don't see anything from them.
Yeah, they need new leadership.
I've never gotten an email
I
from
don't see anything from them. If I learn about an event, it's through another source.
And I think the decision was the county throwing money at it wasn't the solution, so.
I think the right one would be fair to everybody. But I'll say, the aggregation of private sector business and expression of their interest as a chamber or business council is a helpful thing to have in the county. And concerns about the lack of it, I mean, we'll make do with what we have. I don't know what the evolution of this process is going to be, other than, it's like we're losing the Western Wayne Chamber. Business councils searching for ways to continue to maintain.
So confused. So the meeting there is a meeting Wednesday, I believe it's hosted by the Western Wayne Chamber.
Tomorrow.
And you're saying, yes. And you're saying that they're gonna be no longer?
Look, I'm not on the board, I can't definitively say things. Diana Wagner has been leading the business council, her and I spoke the other day. And
Interesting meeting to go to.
that discussion was,
I'm going, so I can report
Yeah,
back.
I received several emails and it was more of a he said, actually she said, lack of response, and I think it was, I didn't realize Diana was 80. Because I responded, because I felt terrible, because she's been reaching out, nobody's getting back to her. I don't know anything about it. And Summer was working with her. So then the screenshots of emails that went back and forth were texts, I'm not sure which.
Can we go on exec for this?
Oh, you
Make
think
a
we
motion,
should?
we go into executive session?
Can you go forward?
Good, okay. The next meeting, audit and finance and the board of directors will be on January 27th. I'd like a motion to adjourn the EDC.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, call to order the Main County Civic Facilities Development Corporation meeting. I'd like a motion to approve the October 28th, 2025 meeting minutes. Motion. All in favor? We already gone through the meeting schedule. Like a motion to approve the operating budget for 2026.
Katie, same thing on this one, civic facility, it says EDC at the bottom of the resolution.
Change, I make a motion we approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else to add or?
Just with account balances, you don't notice it on these two sheets you have because it didn't come till Friday, but we did get that $50,000 check for the project with the hospital. So you'll see that next month, bank balances. We put it in our regular checking.
Questions on the fiscal officer report on that? Brian, do you have anything?
Okay, you just mentioned that the revenue associated with the bond for the hospital.
So, and again, the next meeting is gonna be on the 27th, 2026. I wish everyone a happy Christmas, New Year's and all.
Thank you.
And a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Thank you, everybody.
Ken, what was the name of that book?
Only in the world.